Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gwegolicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. Bout get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix, so get ready, cause we bout to get it poppin'. And we ain't stopping.
Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again. Yeah, we at it again. Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again. Yeah, we at it again. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I am your host, Nick Scopes.
And I'm the Gwegolicious.
And today we have the very funny, very cool Brent Hatley. What's up, my man?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me. It's great to see everybody in these trying times right now.
Yeah, trying.
It's interesting for sure. It's very interesting.
How you keeping busy?
Well, we're working on putting together our television channel for Twitch and working out like crazy people. So that's what we're busy with. And the days are kind of flying by for us because, you know, by the time we work on some of our tech stuff and by the time we get on the air by 6 o'clock at night, it's the day's flown by.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So Twitch, you know, I was talking to Greg before, and we were talking about, I know you guys have that show on Twitch. Me, I'm a little out of touch, I guess, but I always thought it was just for video games. But you're saying you have a TV show on there.
Yeah, so that they started out that way for gamers, and they want to expand into their talk shows and podcasts arena. So you guys should jump on there too. And they just it's a ghost town in talk shows and podcasts and just chatting, and the company, which is Amazon, basically wants to fill out that section. And it's for not that much. You probably have the equipment that you need right now. You can set up your own channel where you can go live and you can connect right there with your audience. You can be live, you can chat with them, and you can do your show. So it's really an incredible platform that lots of people are joining.
Does it work like the video game stuff where people I mean, I'm not definitely with Twitch either. I'm not a video game guy, but I know that when people are on Twitch, like dudes that are watching them play their video games are like donating money and stuff like that. Is that part of their platform, or is that just something really related to video games?
No, that's part of the platform. There's a few ways that you get paid on Twitch, which is people can subscribe to your channel. People can donate to you that's like tipping you if they think you're doing a good show.
Right.
You can sell your merchandise on your Twitch page, and there's ads. So there's like 4 different ways you can make money on Twitch.
Oh wow, that's pretty awesome.
I've always wanted to work for tips. That's my dream.
Please, are you kidding?
Yeah, like if you're doing a good show, like people will just start tipping you, which is a first in radio. But the great thing is, and you guys are kind of there doing it, is there's no management between you and the audience. You can kind of do the show the way you want to do it.
Right. So let's talk about kind of the obvious. You were recently, a Stern Show guy, and then left. Not to get into details and rumors and all that shit, but is there anything that you want to like address and just say this is why I chose to leave? And I mean, you were such an important part of that show for such a long time.
Yeah, so I've had this vision for a long time, and unlike a lot of the guys that work there, I mean, there's some of the guys that work there that are a little bit older than me, like Gary. But a lot of guys that work there are in their 30s, so they've got time. I just felt like I was up against the hands of time. I'll be 49 this summer, and I've had this vision to do my content my way for a long time. And I've always wanted to do it that way. And basically, by my calculations, I've got about 20 years of broadcasting left. So I really want to put this all together in one place before I got too old. So I was on Bubba's show before and on Howard's show, and kind of when it's somebody else's show, you kind of have to tailor your content and fit it to the way that they want to do it, which is, of course, it's their show. Like that goes along with it. But I felt like now is a good time. I felt like 2019, I couldn't top the year I did there. So I felt like it's just time to move on. Also, there's just some quality of life issues
Right.
and living in New York in the tri-state area versus living in Tampa Bay. Number one being taxes. Number two being all the rules. Number three, I don't like the cold.
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you.
and
I'm with you.
and I'm done getting up in the morning. That's the other thing. I
Right.
hate getting up in the morning. So, all those things contributed to it, and I wanted to leave. But to clear everything up, I was not fired. The Sirius XM tried very hard to get me to stay, and I just felt like my time there was enough. And I'm one of those people that doesn't hang on for too long.
Right.
I didn't do that with Bubba's show. I didn't do it when I was on the Ron Diaz show either. So I just don't hang on for too long. I feel like once I've done a good show and done all the content I can do, I want a new challenge, and this is it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, you had an incredible year on the Stern Show. No question. They maximized your time there, at least in, last year with everything going on. I mean, was part of it, do you think that Howard's going to call it a day at the end of this next contract?
So my personal opinion, like I don't know anything, just so you know, he hasn't talked to, like by the time I had left, he hadn't talked to any of us about any of it privately. So I don't know anything, but my guess would be yes. Or if he does come back, it'll be very limited compared to what he's doing now. Just some of the things he says on the air and off the air, some of the things he said to me about, he's contemplating his own mortality. And when you start doing that, you start really seeing how precious the minutes and seconds are. Yeah. So I really think he wants to spend more time painting and enjoying his life. And I feel like he thinks he's earned it. And he says, you can hear him say on the air, he's like, I got to spend a few years of my life not being on the radio.
Right.
And he's still in good health. And I think he wants some good, healthy years to relax. And he's earned it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. Plus now with the virus thing and that, I'm not sure, obviously if you've been listening at all the last couple of weeks, but they set him up at his house, like full on studio. It just sounds like he's never leaving.
I said that myself. I said, good luck getting him to come back to Manhattan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. So, I mean, but that's really, obviously it's a big step to take and risky, but at the same time, I mean, you're right. You got to do it when you can do it. And coming out of working for Stern for whatever it was, 6-7 years, and obviously working for Bubba for a while, I mean, you certainly have great mentors, I guess, to take that leap.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a very specific vision of how I want to do my content. It's kind of going to be like the news meets South Park. And we have a whole host of characters here in the Tampa Bay area, and the kind of content I want to do, I'm going to do most shows from the Tampa Bay area, but some from New Orleans and some from Los Angeles. So I really have a vision for how I want this to go, and you can't do that when you're on anybody else's show because it's their vision and their agenda, and that's just the way it goes. And I've never had an opportunity to full time do my own show, and I've always wanted to do this.
Right.
That's awesome, man. So Brent, doing some research on you, and come to find out you were a Marine and fought in Desert Storm, which is really cool. You ended up winning a medal there.
Yeah.
What made you want to enlist in the armed forces?
Well, I'll tell you this story very, very succinctly. It was one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I realized that if my parents tried to send me to college, that wasn't going to work because I just wasn't disciplined enough. So I went and I took the test for the Air Force, and I qualified actually to be a computer programmer. And this is 1989. And had I gone that route in 1989 to be a computer programmer, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to anybody. I'd have a huge house and be probably pretty rich. But I had a speeding ticket, so I couldn't enlist that day with the Air Force. And I saw the Marine recruiters in the hallway at my high school, and they challenged my manhood. And I fell for it, and I ended up switching and going to the Marines. And within a year, I was standing on a tarmac in Saudi Arabia in 140-degree heat in August, getting ready to worry about being gassed by Saddam Hussein. So it was.
So you prefer that to college? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That was a small fork in the road decision that I made between the Air Force and the Marines, and it really had a heavy life impact. But that said, your experiences in the Marine Corps, there's nothing like that because it's wild, man. You're in there with the most hardcore people you can be in with.
Would you say a lot of that, discipline and things that were instilled to you in the military, stuck with you through your adult life, like the rest of your adult life, like your career and all that?
Absolutely. I wouldn't be here without that. Because the one thing that gets pounded into your head in the Marines is you got to be somewhere on time, and you find out in the civilian world a lot of people aren't even on time. So you're
No.
ahead of you're ahead of your peers in the civilian world if you just start showing up on time. I mean, I remember my first radio job where I got paid was at 98 Rock in Tampa, and they were just impressed at the fact that I just showed up for work every day on time.
That's so crazy to me. Like that's like they're like, oh wow, you're actually here when you're supposed to be here. Like,
So how did you
Yeah,
how did you go from getting discharged out of the military to winding up in radio?
So when you're back when I was in, it's a better deal now, but back when I was in, they would pay 75% of your college if you
nice.
if you went to school while you were on active duty. So right outside the back gate, I was stationed at Marine Corps Air Station Tustin, which is in Orange County, California. It's closed now. But outside the back gate was Irvine Valley College. So I went there and I was studying pre-law, and I would listen to Howard every morning. Howard had come on in 1991. He had come on KLOS in Los Angeles, or no, he was a KLSX
Right.
competing with KLOS in Los Angeles. And I would listen to him every day, and I was like, wow, I can do more with this than I can being a lawyer. Like I can have a lot more fun and get my views out to more people. And growing up, I would go down and I would announce the little league football games and act like I was a play-by-play announcer on TV. So it kind of was in my blood a little bit, and I switched to broadcast journalism, and I got an internship at KNAC, which was the heavy metal station out of Long Beach. And then once I left the Marines in '93, I came back to Tampa, where I'm from, and got a job for $5 an hour as a promotions assistant at 98 Rock, and just worked my way up there.
$5 an hour.
That's what I started making in '93. I was making $5 an hour at 98 Rock to blow up the inflatable and drive the van around all over Hell's Half Acre.
Jesus Christ.
I worked. I had a job in radio for one day when I was in college. I went to school in Boston, and I worked at WBCN for one day. They had me in like. I don't even know what you would call this job. It was basically the office piece of shit.
Oh God!
But I was like
official title.
I have a card that says you are WBCN's office piece of shit, and I was in college. I think I was a sophomore, maybe a junior, and the only reason I took the job is because I had a friend that worked there and got a discount at the Hard Rock Cafe gift shop, and I wanted to buy one of those Hard Rock Cafe leather baseball jackets. And I wanted the discount, and I'm like,
Jesus
I could go work
Christ.
there. So I went there. She got me in, and I left. And I'm like, I'm not going back. That's the worst. So I never did, but I wound up getting a jacket anyway.
Oh well, there you go.
I know, it all worked out for me.
Yeah, BCN's a legendary station.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that's where Howard was in Boston.
Yeah, and he started there at night. Oddly enough.
Yeah, I remember when I first started listening to the Stern Show. It was when he first came to K-Rock. We're the same age, so his show was on in the afternoon at first on K-Rock.
Yeah, yes. And see, back then, I was in the Tampa Bay area, and the show that was on here when I was growing up was called Ron and Ron. So Ron Bennington is now at Sirius XM, and Ron Diaz is at WDAE, which is a sports station here. And I did mornings with Ron Diaz from '97 to 2000. So I've kind of worked with everybody that I listened to and liked in radio at this point.
Right. And then how long were you on the Bubba Show?
13 years.
Yeah,
I was there from 2000 to 2013.
Right. And how was that over? I mean, obviously, I'm sure the overall experience was great, but like, how was it working for Bubba and then working for Stern?
So I'll give you an analogy, and this is I'm not talking any left-right politics. Bubba has the exact same personality as Donald Trump.
Right.
So, and that, again, that's not a political statement at all. It's just personality-wise. So it's very entertaining, as you can imagine, at all times. But it can also be, it can be nuts. But as far as doing the radio, the 4 hours of doing radio on the air with Bubba is great. It's fantastic. Howard is a lot more analytical and thinks things through a lot more, and there's a lot more of a process to get things on the air. Like with Bubba, you can come up with an idea during a commercial break, and it'll be on the air the next time he opens the mic.
Right.
With Howard, there's a lot of people get input into things before they get on the air, so it's a much different process.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine it would. It certainly seems like it. You know, I mean, I haven't listened, you know, to Bubba since he was on, you know, the Stern channels, but I always got a kick out of his show because, you know, it was like kind of the yang to Stern's yin, right? Like it almost is. I mean, I used to look at it like the stuff that Howard used to be kind of known for in the, you know, lesbian dial-a-date and taking that whole route like super far. When he came to Sirius, it seemed like even when he came there and he had the world to do and no one to tell him not to, he kind of tamed it back, and then Bubba sort of took up that space.
Yeah. Well, Bubba can't help himself. Like even when he's not allowed to do stuff like that, he does it. That's what happens. That's what got us thrown off of terrestrial radio.
Right.
And, you know, and Howard used to be a lot more, you know, I listened in the early 90s and through the 90s. He was a lot more angry and a lot more kept you a lot more feeling uncomfortable. You know, at Sirius, even when he got to Sirius, he's just more relaxed. He just, you know, he takes the more analytical approach to doing things, and he's not as, let's say, he's not volatile like, you know, Bubba can be. Right. So he's Howard really, like I said, he really thinks things through. I worked for a guy named Neil Strauss, who's an author who wrote the book The Game. He wrote the book The Dirt, if you've ever seen that movie.
Yeah.
Neil
Strauss. One of my favorites, actually.
Yeah, so Neil Strauss has a thing called 360-degree thinking, which Howard really does well. He thinks about how things are going to be received by the audience, and Bubba just doesn't give a shit. If it serves him, then he'll do it.
Right.
Howard thinks through a lot about how the audience is going to receive something that goes over the air.
Yeah. So have you found that your show, that you're like the Stern fans have been, I mean, the Stern fans are crazy, right? And
yeah,
they're in that, you know, for good and bad. But the one thing they are is totally loyal. So.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. A lot of them, it's a mix of Stern fans, it's a mix of Bubba fans and former Bubba fans, and it's a mix of people that kind of stumble across you on Twitch, and it's a mix of all three of those things. And I think some people come there expecting me to talk shit about Bubba or to talk shit about Howard, which I would never do.
Yeah.
In any way. I mean, people that give me a job, I tend to like them.
Yeah, right.
But I hope that they'll come there, and if they think that I'm going to talk shit about somebody, but they'll go, oh, wow, this show's actually really good and it's worth my time.
Right.
So, and the good thing is it's free to watch live. You don't have to subscribe, and people can drop in and needle drop in and listen anytime they want, which I'm really excited about.
Right.
So, Brent, I know you had a little bit of a political career. You ran for city council against your old high school football coach or something?
Well, he was the wrestling coach there, but he was my brother's wrestling coach, but he was the guy that taught me how to drive a car. He was my driver's ed teacher. But him and his wife was my history teacher. So, yeah, it didn't really go that well because I was really not in the right headspace to be running for office. I was just in a lot of personal ways was not doing well at that time, and decided to run for office because there was nobody running against him. But I didn't sling any mud at him. I wasn't bad or disrespectful. It's just the people of St. Pete made the wrong choice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you like put out an ad saying like, this guy taught me how to drive? I've been in 5 accidents. What a terrible team.
No attack ad. I didn't do any attack ads. I couldn't. Him and his wife were too nice. And matter of fact, I was just at my high school reunion this past July and saw him, and we laughed about it and took pictures. But I don't think my wife will ever let me run for political office again. She doesn't let me talk about politics on the air. So,
hey, just to jump into that for a second, I've actually run for city council in my town 3 times.
How'd that go?
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask me, it went great because I lost all 3 times. And the first 2 times, It's probably slightly different from where you ran. It's like I live in a pretty big town. It's divided into a bunch of sections, and each town gets a few different representatives from that section. I mean, each area of the town. So I came in. I ran against 10 people my first 2 times, and I came in dead last.
Oh my god!
And then I
Yeah,
ran.
we have.
Last year
Yeah,
I
we have
ran,
7.
and I came in 6th, and it was too close for comfort.
Oh my god! Yeah, yeah. We have 7 sections of St. Pete, 7 districts, and then everybody gets to vote on every district, and then there's a mayor. So
Right.
those are the 8 people, and it was not fun. It was you go to the same meeting every night and you say the same thing to the same old bags because no young people show up.
Yeah, right.
It's all old people there. And I was running against red light cameras, and I had these old bags coming up to me. Man, they save lives. I was like, but ma'am, they're not even installed yet. But I've seen them save lives. I'm just like, but that's impossible. And then I had people working on my campaign telling me not to argue with these old bags, and I just couldn't help myself.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad I came in last and third to last all 3 times.
Well, I mean, I got 31% of the vote, so I felt okay about that.
Hey, you came close. You came close.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have been good. It's a much bigger city than I live, actually. So
yeah, it's
what with the new show? The show is with your wife, right? The new show.
Well, she is one on it. I've got a co-host that we're going to announce on Monday. Somebody that I've done radio with before, and we're absolutely both insane. We're all living in the same house right now, and sometimes, like, my wife will pull out the phone and just tape what's going on, which we're going to run on the show, because it's a complete madhouse. So we're going to do a show from 3 to 6. She's going to do a yoga show on Wednesday nights.
Oh, that's cool.
We're gonna do sports shows, like also on Twitch. You mentioned the video game thing. We were playing MLB the other day, and once we start next week, when we're playing MLB, we're gonna fire that up, and we're gonna broadcast us playing that and arguing over playing baseball. So on the video game, it's basically going to be a reality show running through the channel at all times with a daily like radio show from 3 to 6. It's going to be a ton of content, and that's the beauty of it. Is like at any time you can go live on your phone, you can go live from your video game controller, and we convert the living room every day into a television set.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
that's wild.
So all the stuff that happened last year on the show that they kept bringing up and throwing you into, like, do you think that affected your decision to jump out and do this on your own?
Well, in a positive way. Like they here's what happens on the air is people all try to put themselves in your shoes, and they want to see the world through their prism, not through yours.
Yep.
So through my lens, it's all stuff that I'm into. So none of it bothered me. I just thought it was so great. We got back from LA. We were doing the one show from LA, like between we were on a commercial break, when all the madness is going on, and Howard's like, this is the best show of the year. Like, it's hard to top that.
Right.
It's, and I get to the point, like, almost, like a lot of people, like, you can either walk away and go pick up another challenge when you do your best work, or you can wait around and wither on the vine. And I can't do that. I can't do it. I would rather people walk away and people go, wow, man, that 2019 was unbelievable.
Yeah. No,
Instead of, wow, he's really faded and become really shitty. So,
I mean, it was interesting to listen to. That's for sure.
That's all we want.
And I mean, you had some epic fights with some of the other guys on the show.
Love it. I love fighting on the radio. It's one of my favorite things to do.
I
like it.
Was any of that, like, I mean, this is going to be an obnoxious question, but was any of it exaggerated for the air, or was that truly you and Shuli going at it? Like, truly, like, heart to heart?
Yeah, that's truly Shuli and I going at it. Shuli and I are like brothers. People have this impression that we hate each other. Like, you don't hate your brother, but you have some of your most intense arguments with your brothers.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it is with Shuli and I. We shared an office. We're on the show together. So Shuli and I are around each other 24/7. So yeah, you're going to get on each other's nerves in the office and on the air. So a lot of it was, pent up aggression being all let out, but it all came from a real place. All of that was really coming from the way that we think and feel about each other. We love each other as people, but I annoy the shit out of Shuli and he annoys the shit out of me. So that's just that's part of it. But I love the guy. I think he's extremely talented.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I'm not going to hammer you on the air.
No, of course.
If you piss me off.
But did you ever take that, like sharing an office? Did you ever take what has just happened on the air back to the office and like be like, you're a fucking asshole? Like, I can't believe you're calling me a liar.
No, I can't. I couldn't because Shuley did a lot of the Whack Pack stuff, and I helped produce a lot of that stuff. So I really couldn't. You really have to just leave it all in the studio, and that's why you got such good stuff in the studios, because we couldn't hash it out in the office. We had to move on with our day, so it would be until the next day, and we didn't work things out. And we made a point not to talk about things off the air to make sure that the audience got the full, real, or raw emotions of what we were going to let out.
Right.
So, yeah, what you got was real, and we couldn't go back in the office and work it all out because we had to work together on other stuff and be professionals.
Yeah. No,
Was there anything you ever, because you seem like a real level-headed, like you're an educated guy, that you wouldn't get too emotional, or like you learn from mistakes. Would you say, was there ever anything you said on air that you're like, I wish I didn't say that? Like you just caught up in the moment?
I'm sure there is.
Just blocked it out.
But yeah, if you go back to not really on Howard's show, because it all turned into great content, so I can't really regret stuff from Howard's show. On Bubba's show, there's lots of stuff because he will take the knife and twist it and turn it. So sometimes you give him a little bit too much, and if that's my Achilles heel, I get on the air and just let it all out, and I'm honest about it. Let the chips fall where they may. So I don't really look at it as I regret it. I look at it as, wow, that turned into a funny bit. Wow, I look stupid on that one. But if the audience is entertained or interested or laughs, then that's all that really matters.
Yeah. Would you say that this new show you got coming up, like, are you going to be a little bit more, like, I don't want to say reserved. You said it's like South Park.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm not. And what's going to be weird here is I've got two people here with me that know me very well. So when I try to sidestep anything, I'm not going to be able to sidestep it because they already know the answer.
right.
See, when you're dealing with people that you don't have, that know you fairly well, but not like this. Like, these people know me. So it's going to be sidestepping things is going to be almost impossible. So you're probably going to get a little more honesty and a little bit more of my raw emotion because they know what buttons to push and get me upset.
Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. And then we're gonna bring in a whole bunch of our characters here in the Tampa Bay area that also have known me or grown up with me, and there's gonna be a lot more depth to it, and there's a lot more funniness. There's a lot of weird, crazy shit that I've done that just for whatever reason hasn't made the air yet, and it's the stories that you're going to hear now about the weird shit that I've done. We barely scratched the surface.
Oh man, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, like, so do you regret any of the stuff that, came out in the air last year? But clearly the answer is no.
No. And that's the thing is, I get it, and I understand why people that are on the air with me, everybody's on the air with me, believes that I'm upset about this and that because they would be upset. But
Right.
I'm really not. Like, my wife and I are super close. We talk about everything, and yeah, we have sex with other people and talk about it. Like, that's our turn on.
Right.
So how is something that I'm into upsetting me? That's why I couldn't explain to them that they weren't understanding. It's like, this is the stuff I'm into. It's not upsetting me.
Yeah. No, I just thought, to me, it was never a matter of believing it or not believe it. I never questioned it for a second. It was just more, like it's just, so many people would come on or call in, or guys from the show be like, oh, you're full of shit. That didn't happen. Or why would you do that? Or I can't believe you guys are doing this. It sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, because they're seeing the world through their lens and their prism because they wouldn't do it.
Right.
And that's the thing
Yes.
that, I learned a long time ago is sometimes you got to take a step back and realize the way that you see the world's not the way that even the person sitting next to you sees the world. And you kind of I try to understand where people are coming from as long as they're not hurting anybody.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Exactly. Like I said, you're level-headed. You just take it as it comes. It makes sense, dude. Usually when someone is upset with you or they don't like what you're saying, even though if you're talking about your life, it's usually them. There's like an insecurity or something they don't like.
Right.
And they see something maybe in you that they don't like in them or whatever it may be.
or
they
envy,
usually attack you.
envy, jealousy.
Yeah, that too. That too. Yeah, for sure.
You know, I was good friends with Sam Simon, who was on the Stern Show for a lot of years,
Yep.
passed away from colorectal cancer. I used to stay at his house when we'd go out there. Ralph would stay there too, oddly enough. But Sam used to say also, and this really made me calm years ago. He told me, when people are criticizing you, just remember all criticism is self-criticism. People are usually really criticizing themselves. And that was true. I found that was true for me too in my angrier days. I was really angry with myself and I didn't understand why. And I would take it out sometimes by being overly critical of other people. And I think that's what goes on too.
Yeah.
1,000%, man. 1,000%. I've noticed that more and more as I've gotten older. It's usually just someone else's, someone gets upset about something and I can't even fathom why they're upset because it has nothing to do with them and doesn't affect them. I'll never understand people like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's something that they're seeing within themselves that they don't like.
Absolutely. 1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah. So this was awesome chat, Brent. Really appreciate it.
Fantastic. I enjoyed it, man. It was really fun talking to you guys.
Yeah. We obviously
for real. Thank you for your time, man. I know you're busy.
Wish you guys.
And I'll come back again and we'll re-up in the future. And you guys can come on my Twitch show and tell me what you think.
Sure.
And promise me this: you guys look into Twitch since you got a show. Look into it for yourselves.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know it existed until I saw that you were doing that, and now listening.
I only knew the video game side of it. That's all I knew. I had no idea about this other stuff.
Yeah, and they're an Amazon company, so they always have the server capacity for you that you need. You can go live at any time. You can go live from your iPhone. If you're out doing something and you want to broadcast it and talk to your followers, you can just go live. So you guys should check into it. I want as many people that are doing podcasts to join it as they can, because we need to fill that section out so we can take over for the gamers.
Yeah, no kidding.
We'll take over Twitch and we'll overtake the gamers.
Ugh, that would be amazing.
Let's do it. Drink.
So how do they find you on Twitch? Like, what if someone goes on to Twitch, how do they find your show?
It's simply you can go to either BrentHatley.com and the Twitch is embedded there, or it's just twitch.tv/Brent Hatley. Got a, just like Twitter or Facebook or anything, I've got a verified @Brent Hatley channel on Twitch. So it's very easy to find and it's free to watch live. And if you want to subscribe for on demand, that's free with your Amazon Prime account. So
sweet.
Oh shit, I got that.
It's super simple. And we're gonna have lots of content. My goal is within a year, at any time that you pop on our channel, there'll be some content running 24/7. So
that's awesome.
So hopefully this is gonna go well. And we're gonna give it a shot. It's a challenge, and this is a new platform. And since this whole coronavirus thing started, Twitch's audience has grown in the United States by 33%. And they were already at 40 million weekly users.
Wow.
So there's a very large potential audience, guys. So I would consider you guys going there as well.
Yeah, no, we definitely are. I'll link up with you after. You can maybe give me a little guidance on the best way to do it.
Sure. You know what? I've got a document too with all the Twitch best practices. I'll be happy to share with you.
Oh, that would be awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah, that email, the emails you that I sent the Zoom link from, just send it to that. That would probably work.
Of course.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you.
All right, Brent. Listen, we'll definitely do this again in a few months after you guys start kicking ass, and wish you guys the best of luck, both you and your wife and everybody around, and definitely, most importantly, stay healthy.
Okay, you guys too.
All right,
see you later, Mangina Dialogues.
Take care, Brent.
Later, Brent.
Bye.
See ya.
On the